I welcome you, but I'm scared to death. Earlier today, a little lady from Australia said that she has asked her students, the harder the question, the more credit you're going to get. But I'm going to tell you, see these two guys over here? That's who you ask. Now, my job here today is to tell you as much as I can about my community in a short period of time. So, did you get it? No, well, with all sincerity. Back in the early 70s, we were confronted with a very strong situation. Our elders in the tribe said to us, keep your mouth shut. That's why we didn't tell you anything. You're going to get in trouble. All of the above. But we had two elder ladies, my mother being one, and Aunt Mary Ward being the other, who said, look, we've had enough, we're going to go for this. And me, at that time, I don't know how old I was, I'm pretty darn old now, but at the time, I said, let's do this. Well, then the story started to come out. Did you know that in 1920 was the last train that left the city of Salem with Indian refugees sent to the reservation? That's 1920. That's not. You guys got living parents that were born in 1920. Our families had the sharecrop because in 1924 we weren't really citizens. So I'm taking you back there so that I can bring you up real fast into the lifestyle of what we've done. Well, we survived sharecropping, renting farms, keeping secrets. If you had made quite a bit of money on your farm, you better keep it a secret because the owners want to keep you off. We weren't allowed to own property. Now, thanks to the Quakers bought property in our names. That's how a lot of us acquired the land that the families still live on today. So, going through that, my mother said, Marky, we're going to do it. So, I was in Washington, D.C. at the time working. And they called me to come home. And I said, why do you want me to come home? I was like the bad apple, to be honest with you. And it was because I was the bad apple that they wanted me to come home. I said, you have to explain it to me because I finally got a good job. Well, one of the things that had happened, all right, our government base, was through the churches. Well, if you guys can really realize that during the 60s was the greatest movement for integration. Our elders in the church were the elders that put the law down for us so that we had to live by those laws. As soon as integration came, those same elders had to support the whole church congregation. So there was no longer a direct avenue for us to have that kind of government to say, this is what you do. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you, I've never had so many aunts, uncles, and some of these people weren't even related to me, but that's how our families survived. Everybody was important. If you were an elder, you were important. And I can't tell you how many ear pinches I got taken care of pretty good from any place in our community. That's how the community survived. There were a lot of things that we thought that we were lacking as a community. As the community started to gather and the people got more courage, they went up into their attics and they brought out things that were given to them. They didn't have the meaning of it. I have a war club. It was given to me by my grandmother. Come to find out, it wasn't a war club. It was our family story from the Longhouse ceremony. These things all accumulated together to let us know that we had been doing the right things. Now, see, I want to use a couple phrases. All goodbyes ain't gone. Anybody know what that means? How about ain't no hill to a climber? you cut your finger off, you won't do it again. Yeah, you can recognize that one. Well, that's how we were taught. Ain't no hill to a climber means you can do anything. If you put your mind to it, you can do it. And just like this case that we're in right now, all goodbyes ain't gone. You might put me down, but I'll be back. That's how we survived. We kept to ourselves. We didn't have much interaction with outside of our community. We found ways to, most of us were farmers. And thank God for the Italian bloc, because the Italians were the only ones that took our wares. They made sure, no, we had to make sure that ours were top of the line. But they made sure that we could take our vegetables and get a fair price for them. We had a lot of allies during our growing up time. We had Woodruff Cole made sure that our men worked, because they knew that our men did work. There wasn't any slackers amongst the people. And they put all of them together so that they didn't have to worry about the prejudices that were going on the outside. Now myself, I knew about the prejudices. I experienced the prejudices. Well, let me tell you how I learned about my history. I was always being punished, but my grandma never hit me. So she made me sit on the steps between the dining room and the bedroom. And I'm sitting there, and Aunt Mabel and Aunt Mary came in, and they don't talk if anybody's around. Well, they forgot that I was there, and they were laughing and joking and telling old stories about what they had to go through. And I'm sitting there saying, man, how can they be laughing about the tragedies that they're talking about? But see, they had accepted it. They had accepted it, and they did what they had to do to go around it. We're not the kind of people that go and smack you. We go around it, and we'll figure out a way, and that's how we survived. We figured out a way to keep our families safe. Well, those same sharecroppers, same farm runners, they decided to put their kids through college. That is our weapon right there. Those people lived without anything, and I don't really think the kids realize how destitute that their families were during that period. But what has come out of it is some strong-minded people. Now, I've taken you just a short way. We had to meet our brothers and sisters in Oklahoma and Canada. When we gathered together, we were sure that we were lacking something in our culture that was taken to the West and not left here. We had no idea until we went to Oklahoma. We're sitting there with Oklahoma, and the first thing that happened to me, the Moravian town's all the way about 300 pounds. They're standing about this tall. And the big boy walked up to me and he said, who are you? Talk about Bruce Stonefish. And I laid it out to him. I told him exactly who I was. The next day when they were having the symposium, and I'm not used to the symposium, I actually blanked out. So if I blank out here and keep talking, you know that I got nervous and something happened. But when I woke up, everybody in the audience was sitting there like, wow. The chief came to me and he said, you know, we've known about you all this time. We were waiting for you to come out. And see, it took, I don't know, we've been living on divine intervention this whole time, really, truly, because we didn't make any of these decisions. We didn't even have money to go out there, but we found it. When we got out there, we found out that the people from Bartlesville were missing ceremonies. They had our social songs, which is a big part of our life, don't get me wrong. The people from Moraviantown had the ceremonies in Canada. The people from Muncie Town just shared everything with the rest of them. the people from Anadarko, they didn't like us to start with, so they didn't like any of the tribes, so it didn't really make a kitty to me. See, she was a preacher's wife, and I had to say, make sure I kept it clean. But our relationship with those people that were scattered throughout, they called us the left behinds or the keepers of the land. To me, that was like a major escalation, because we never thought of ourselves in any kind of way except the fact that we were just proud that we were able to be cohesive and keep the families together. Now, I can tell you about my family. On the Delaware side is Woodland Beach. That's just above Chesney that he was talking about. Well, they used to take a ferry from Greenwich over to Woodland Beach. That was, the bridge wasn't there at the time. And that's how our families communicated. And my grandpa said, John Kinsey Carney, he said, well, my grandpa asked him, he said, Pop, why are you taking us over here? He said, we'll be gone for 2 weeks. I want you to meet your wife. And see, that's the communication that we've had all this time. We fought all the time. And then we figured it out. It was about the girls. The girls weren't fighting anybody. The guys, as soon as you got there. So we actually had to stop the gathering. Some people call it a powwow. I just call it a gathering, because the guys in Woodland Beach were standing in the water, and guys on the boat was jumping off the boat just to get the fight started. And we've carried that fight, I say, on up until the early part of the 80s. And when they asked me to be chief, one of my biggest things that I was going to fix was that we needed to be together with everything that we do. And regardless, if I tried to protect my wife from one of them guys, future wife from one of them guys that's coming over here, you might as well forget it. Because it was the same thing when I went to Cheswell or Millsboro. I seen a girl that was in my eye, and I would take that whooping. Hey. But that's how we stayed together. Now, one of the things that I think is astonishing to me is until, I say, the early 90s, I could look at you and tell you exactly what family you were from. Now, we have a lot of different surnames that we have now, but during that time, I could tell you whether you were a Durham, I could tell you whether you were a Pierce, I could tell you whether you was a sleepy-eyed Pierce. And we had all different things that when you seen somebody walking down the street, you knew your own. I don't care, you go to Philadelphia and see a Philadelphia citizen walking down the street. You walk up to him and ask him, hey, are you a skin? Are you Lenape? And they'd start grinning, because regardless of how far you went, you still had that look with you. Now, like I said, integration is really grabbing everybody. That's not a bad thing, I guess. But the whole thing comes down to it. How can you keep that many people together? There's only one way. You have to work in unity. Now, John said that there's 3,000 of us and 12,000 of them on the side. Well, how that works is you've had people that had intermarriage, and you've had people that don't want a government, and it's their choice. It is actually their choice. We don't go out and solicit anybody to be a part of the tribe. I have an older brother. I mean, I don't know how much longer he's going to be here, because he has Parkinson's. But Bill was going to be Indian when it was necessary, because of the way we were treated when we were coming up. He couldn't fight the battle that I had to fight. And I understand. I mean, that episode with my brother just helped me to understand a lot of the other tribal members, and I call them tribal members just because they don't belong and have a card. They're still my family. I understand why they're sitting on the edge waiting. There's been so many disappointments, and I'll be honest with you, you can only, you know, if you knock a spider web down once, he does it. If you knock it down 2 or 3 more times, it gets weaker and weaker. But these people that I work for have been hurt so bad that it's hard to recover. They need something to happen. Well, in 1982, you guys got to help me make sure I get my dates together because I'm not like that. In 1982, we got state recognition. Senator Littman reviewed our case, and she sent me home. She called me on the phone. She said, Chief Gould, she said, I see your history, and I approve your history, but I don't see any genealogy. Well, back in '82, genealogy didn't really mean that much to any of us. So there were only 800 of us at the time. We went back to the office, and just the small group that we were dealing with, we found out, and some of these people are the ones that I used to fight over girls. So we found out that we were either Durhams or Pierces. The Ridgways married into it, the Johnsons married into it. We were all close cousins, not just cousins, close cousins. And that was really, truly reinforcing, because that means that our families did stick together. We might have had arguments. See, I lived in a place called Dog Patch. And in Dog Patch, they called my dad Abner. I don't know, you guys that ain't old enough to know about little Abner. But they tried to call my mom Daisy May, and she just wouldn't have it. But really, you could go within a mile of my house, and everybody there was the same family. And I don't care which direction you went, it was the same family. And see, to me, that's my legacy. That is my legacy. We had special people, see, because we got rid of the clan system. You guys got the timing on it, Larry?
1 minute.
That ain't happening. We didn't have the clan system anymore, so we had what we considered matriarchs or history keepers or name keepers. And what their job really was to do was to make sure that the families that moved away knew who was born, who got married. My Aunt Esther Lytle, she married a Shinnecock from Long Island. And Aunt Esther's job was to make sure that if there was illness, she got taken care of. I can remember myself, Dr. Mary Bacon, come out in the middle of the night. Now, because Mary Bacon was a white woman, she was not allowed to come out and service us during the daytime. But Aunt Esther would go get her at night and bring her out. That's how we survive. It's those things that seem to be missing in today's culture that made it so that everything was kind of all right. And did we have anything? Were we poor? Yes, we were very poor, but we didn't know. Now, all you guys that live in the city or you eat a lot of meat, we had chicken on Sunday. Now, strawberries came on first, so we had lots of strawberry shortcake. Mom loved the bake. Then when the blueberries came on, you guys call them, I call them huckleberries because we couldn't go get them big, nice blueberries. The little huckleberries, we used to stay there for hours picking them because she'd make blueberry mush and then put them over top of biscuits. And another kid in school had that kind of thing. Blackberries, oh my gosh. Same thing, Mom would put them down in sugar, put them over biscuits, and that was your supper. Apples came along, they used to throw the apples away. Me and Bill would hop on our bikes and follow the dump trucks to the woods to see where they were dumping them. Come back and tell Mom, let's go get the apples. And we'd spend all night long making applesauce. That's survival. Did we have other jobs? Yeah, they had other jobs, but they weren't the kind of jobs that let them live a proper life. So what their job was to make sure that they progressed in a further way of living. And like I said, I'm not an educated person, but one of the things that I did find out, as long as you have the Lord in your heart, you can do anything. And you can. Now, how they picked me as the chief, I kind of felt sorry for them, you know, because I'm not the one. I used to love to fight. I ain't gonna tell you the rest of it. But with all sincerity, I found a calling. That makes sense. There was no reason for me to want to do anything right in my bringing up. No. But once my intervention again, once I was chosen, all my efforts for the last 40 years have circled around one thing: my people. Now, the story goes on. Don't ask me any questions if they're hard.
Thank you.
Thank you.